Hi, it's LaKesha from Virgo Vibe. Today I want to talk to you about doubts and beliefs that may restrict you from having success. So I wanted to pretty much, give you some food for thought and maybe open your mind a little bit to just be aware of some of the things that might be restricting you from being successful that you might not really even pay attention to or be aware of. This is important to me because I've had that same moment of realizing, you know, a lot of the things that I do or believe or any doubts that I have about myself came from somewhere. And where did they come from? When did they start? Why did they start? So I think that it's important to share this information for anybody who might be going through the same thing. And basically, so what I did was I asked myself a couple questions and really dug into, why am I the way that I am? And is this, you know, the things that I have doubts about or fears about or beliefs that I've had since I was a kid, are these really things that I want to keep moving forward, or are these some things that um, were given to me as a child and I just basically clung to them without asking questions, and now is a good time to start asking those questions. Is this something that I should hold on to and continue doing, or is it something that I need to let go so that I can be the most successful person that I can be? So the first question I asked myself is, what are things that my peers or my family told me that I have taken into myself and basically have adopted the beliefs or the thoughts or the doubts about myself that are not my own. So for me personally, in my family, I feel like I'm a middle child, so I was kind of like, the big sister and the little sister. So one of the things that I've noticed as an adult that I still do, that I started doing when I was a kid, was feeling like I needed to take care of everyone. And so I kind of backtracked to, where did that start? Why did that start? And I realized that it started when, my mom and dad were going through a divorce when I was in high school. And I had a little brother. And I could see my mom working really hard, and she'd come home and she'd be so tired, and she'd still have to make us dinner and all this stuff. So I took it upon myself back then to make life a little easier for her. So I started taking over making dinner every night. I would call her when I got home from school, and I would ask her, what do you want me to take out for dinner? I'm going to cook this or that, or give her a choice of what to make. And that was our conversation each day. And so after a while, years and years went by, I just got used to cooking. And I do enjoy cooking, and I always have, even before then. So it wasn't really a big stretch for me. But I just felt like I needed to help out more. And I think that that also gave me, um, to other people, a look of someone who has the characteristic of a person who's responsible, a person who you can depend on, a person who you can, know that will look after things while you're gone, and everything will still, the house won't burn down while you're gone. Your son will be fed before you get home, everything will be taken care of. So I kind of took on that persona, per se, for my entire life, even, I don't know, it was just like a need to feel like I was doing the right thing. I don't really know. I kind of wonder if it was a selfish reason to do it. I want to feel good. I feel good when I help people. But I don't know if it was really for their benefit or for mine. So I had to kind of analyze, are you doing this because, well, of course I'm doing it because I love this person and I want to help them. But am I doing it for self-gratification more than I'm doing it for, helping them? Because a lot of the times I realized that I was doing things. Nobody asked me to do them. I was just doing them. And then I started doing them all the time. And then people get used to you doing a certain thing all the time. Then they kind of start expecting it. And then when you don't want to do it anymore, then you feel guilty like you're taking something away. But you shouldn't feel like that. You shouldn't feel like you can't just be you and go with the flow. And I got really repetitive in my actions and how I did things because I didn't want to let people down or make people feel, like things were out of whack. And that led me to realizing that I had like a control issue. I kind of felt like if I do everything, it'll be done. And if I do it my way, it'll be done right. And that's just not the way you're supposed to tackle life. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm good at working with other people and being on teams, but I kind of felt like I needed to control everything so that I wouldn't feel this chaos feeling inside. And it took me a long time to realize that. Like, I was pushing my control issues on other people a lot and having high expectations for them, but not for myself. And that's not fair. It's not fair to them, and it didn't help me at all. You can't control other people, and you can't control life in general. You just have to deal with what comes as it comes. So that was a big lesson that I learned during this evaluation of, my core beliefs. So I just want you to think about, what are some of the things that you do that you've been doing for so long, you don't even know when it got started or why. And really think about why it got started. Like, I started that back in high school, helping my mom and doing extra stuff because I wanted to help her. But I don't know why, as an adult, 20 years later, I felt like I needed to make dinner every night. Like that, no, you don't. Like, you don't have to. You can spend your time doing other stuff. People are not going to feel let down because you're not their slave. I mean, you're free to, go out to eat and try new things and have someone else cook for you. It doesn't always have to be. And that's just my example of, how it just continued on into this thought process of me thinking that I had to do it or something was going to be broken. And it's just not true. And so now I'm kind of more like, okay, I do need to eat, but I'm not so worried about, and I don't have little kids anymore. I'm not so worried about feeding each person and making sure they're all right because they're all adults. So, you know, you'll figure it out if you're hungry, or you can make me something to eat. It doesn't always have to be me. But anyway, okay, so the second question I asked myself is, what do I believe to be learned from religious background? And of course, I feel like I've learned the difference between right and wrong, but I also feel like um, a lot of things that I didn't do or didn't want to try was out of guilt and not necessarily because I thought it was wrong. And so I had to reevaluate that too. Am I not doing this thing that I want to do because I'm afraid to go to hell? Or am I not doing this thing because I'm scared? Or am I not doing this thing because somebody told me that I'm never allowed to do it? And, I'm not talking about murder or anything like crazy. But, like listening to a song that's not, uh, listening to music, let's just use that as an example. Listening to music that's secular and not religious music. Like, if you were in a strict religious background and they're like, no, don't listen to that because it'll pollute your brain. And it's possible that, letting those things in is not the best for you, but it's not going to send you to hell. So that's kind of where I'm getting at. Like, you might, here's a perfect example. For somebody who goes to school and they live with their parents and they do everything their parents say and they never go out and they never get in trouble and they never experience life and they never go to a party, and then they finally get out in the world, they don't know what to do because, and usually it backfires on the parents. If you're so strict and you hold, your kids so tight in this wall and you never let them explore the world and themselves, then when they get a chance to do it, it's more like they broke out of jail and they go buck wild. So, or it's just like telling your kid no, and they're going to want to do it even more. So you have to be careful about, putting restrictions on human beings to explore life. And I'm not saying that you can't do it in a healthy way, but you do have to be aware that you are in charge of your life and no one else. And even though, religion is given to us and it has a lot of strict guidelines that we need to follow, you also should realize that as far as religion, it is usually not something that is chosen at birth. It's something that your parents have chosen for you. And so you should be able to decide for yourself if this matches what your moral compass says and your life's journey says is what you need in order to be a better person. So the next question I ask myself, or that you should ask yourself, is what do you believe to be true about yourself? So, not only, I'll put it like this. Sometimes when we go to work, we act in a professional manner that we wouldn't act the same if we were at a family party. And I'm not saying like being in a fake way. I'm just saying that you might be less inclined to like totally express yourself in one place than you are at another. Or say you're, at one of your friends' house and you guys are watching the game. You may not be as relaxed in your personality at work or at church than you are with your friends watching a game. So I kind of evaluated, and I want you to evaluate yourself and what you know to be true about yourself. When I was younger, I saw myself as a trustworthy friend, a fun person. I thought I was funny. I used to think a lot of things about myself that were really positive. And now that I'm older, I don't see myself as that same person because I'm older, of course. I've gone through different things and, you know, having kids and just growth in life make you look at things differently. And you don't walk the same path as you did when you were 21, when you're 41. So somebody who's in their 20s might go out to clubs and dance and, do fun stuff or stay up all night. And someone who, is 41 might have fun doing a hobby, at home alone. It just really depends on the person and the life path. So anyway, that 21-year-old and that 41-year-old will probably have certain things that are still embedded in that person no matter what age. And so say for instance you have a friend that you known for a bunch of years, like since school, and you're older now, and you've always known that that friend is the type of person to give you the shirt off their back. So that's like an example. And they still are. Or you know someone who, and it could be good or bad, but you know someone who basically could be really self-centered. I mean, that could change too. But really self-centered and, always, let's not even use that as an example because kids change people a lot. And you could be self-centered in high school and then not be self-centered at all as an adult. But anyway, I'm talking about personality traits that, hardworking. Okay, how about that? So you could be a really hardworking person. When you were young, you could have had like 2 jobs, and your boss used to always just be like, "Oh, I just love when you come and you're always," and when you're older, you become this workaholic. So you still have that trait, and it might look a little different, but it's the same trait where you're dedicated to getting your work done right and properly. That's a good example. So I kind of want you to evaluate what you believe to be true about yourself. It could be you're a loving person, you're very patient, uh, you could be short tempered, like it could be anything you want. But just evaluate, those things that you don't think other people influence is just part of your personality, who you are. Pull those things out and recognize that most of the time these are the parts of you that if you took a picture in your mind of what, not your perfect you, but a better you, like if you could see you right now and a future you of where you want to grow to, that you, what would those traits be, and what traits do you have now that are close to that, or that you want to change so that you can be that. Alright, that was a lot of questions in that one. So ask yourself what others who have been through worse problems or conditions than you have accomplished or changed about themselves. And everybody can think of someone, even a celebrity if you have to, who has a story of being way worse off than you see yourself right now, and has come from, being very down in the dumps and, what's the word I'm looking for? Rock bottom, and has turned their life around and is now successful or happy or the opposite of everything they described. So really think about someone who, you can use as an example that maybe, your goal setting idea of what it looks like, that is possible for you to change into that better you in the future. And after that, you'll kind of have to make, what are these steps that I need to take to get from here to here, but that's later. But really just evaluate who you are right now, how others influenced you, how religion influenced you, how you see yourself, and examples of people who have been in your predicament and have come out of it all the more better. And after you've done this, then you will be able to have a better scope, a picture of who you are now, why you are the way you are, what you might want to change, and what you might want to keep, and then go from there in order to get to that future self that you feel is, what your complete happiness looks like. So that was kind of long, but I just wanted to share those questions with you. Get your brain turning and, get your wheels turning. Leave a comment below about any of the questions that I proposed, or if you have any other questions. And like this video if it was helpful to you. Subscribe to the channel, it helps the channel grow. And I'll see you in the next video. LaKesha, Virgo Vibe, out. The look of someone who has a characteristic, because when I was younger, I used to thought